Aberdeen has long been a famous spot for local and overseas tourists. Parked with numerous fishing boats, Aberdeen is not only famous for its spectacular scenery, but also its glamorous floating restaurants and world-known seafood. One may not know that Aberdeen is actually the largest fishing port in Hong Kong since the colonial era. Sheltered by the island at Lake Chau, this attributes to the peaceful environment of the harbour. At the peak time, more than 2,000 vessels harbored at this place in the 1960s. Now, around 600 boats are still parking here. The earliest cohorts of boat people there have settled here since Song Dynasty. After the Second World War, flocks of Chinese migrated to and settled in Hong Kong to escape from the Chinese Civil War. Many of them were Hoklo people originated from Fujian and Chaoshan, or Tanka people from coastal Guangdong. They utilized their knowledge and skills in building boats and fishing to make the living for their families. Being experienced sailors, some specialized in peddling visitors around the harbor for sightseeing or transportation. All these formed the majority of the boat people community and created a unique society in Aberdeen. The boat people, being no matter fishermen or boatmen, lived and spent most of their lives on the boats or in stilt houses. Followed by advancements in fishing technologies and gears, the use also became larger and larger. The application of machinery has replaced a large number of labor force. Unluckily, fish stocks seem to be overexploited and dropped sharply in around 1970s. At the same time, the Hong Kong government subsidized boat people to live in public housing or to ship their careers. Therefore, many of the boat people have moved on shore. Some still insist to be fishermen, while some of them gave up and sold their boats. As a result, the number of fishermen and the number of boats reduced greatly.
而家係咪少咗好多漁船啊？係啊，少咗好多漁船。你仲有冇親戚係做緊仲喺水上面生活㗎？冇啦，冇啦。出咗20幾年，我自細已經喺市，而家住喺街咯，住喺上排灣。
However, required to help the families in fishing, most of the children of boat people did not have chances to receive higher education or training in other skills. They can only take up jobs with lower income like construction workers or security guards.
做地盤啊，或者係做建築啊，一係呢行嘅，一係揸我喺小輪嗰啲啊。
我細佬做地盤啦，做嗰啲前行啊，大家做嗰啲或者貨計啊，翻嚟間電視嗰啲之類。
Actually, more of them are working closely related to the sea, even they have moved on shore, such as being seafood retailers or operating restaurants. Aberdeen Wholesale Fish Market is the biggest fish market in Hong Kong. In Aberdeen Wholesale Fish Market, we have met many former boat people. They are now working in this place. Mr. Lee said there are over 30 workers in his store, and a majority of them were boat people in the past.
咁啊，我都水用幾廿年，我媽已經唔喺度啦。
你阿媽係咪水上人㗎？
係啊，以前咧佢年輕嗰時都係出海嘅，我媽咪喺度，爸爸都係。咁去到咧就佢哋結婚之後已經冇出去啦。咁見完咧做呢個買賣生意，做買賣生意。咁啊做咗買賣生意咧就跟住咁我兄弟姊妹啦，咁啊一路都係做買賣生意。咁去到我冇讀書啊，我就出去幫手，一做咗42年。
開先去㗎啦，咁我哋都係用啲時間發覺針開先，我呢個係九成都好中意。
Like fishing, fish wholesaling work is quite tough.
因為呢行呢個前景係麻麻地嘅，競爭大同埋咧佢嗰個人力資源啊，因為做呢行生意咧，你冇人手你根本好難做，即係要用好多人手先做得到嘅，同埋咧個利潤好低嘅。
低啊！即係做呢啲特別
幾多，或者你嘅下一代啊嘅仔女會唔會喺度做咁樣？
我嘅下一代有喺度做，
係啊，
下一代就唔知啊，因為呢一行應該辛苦啊，做起身係我個女要4點嚟起身，有時都落得好靚，後生嘅而家冇人做。如果俾我揀我都唔會做，如果重新開始我都唔會做，因為我係半退休㗎啦，可以做可以唔做。咁因為時光我哋做唔到啊，因為做我哋呢啲全部都要快嘅，要速度好快㗎，幾日都要起身啊，有啲時候起身好多嘢。
個生活就圍繞喺呢個市場。
係啊，喺度裏邊㗎咋。
好，
時間唔多。
啲仔女咁樣，你會唔會想佢哋做或者想佢哋唔做？即係
我後生嗰時就唔想佢哋做，但係而家我年紀大咗啦，始終要揾人接手嘅。因為做咧冇人接手，自己人做都俾我接手，你記得係自己人跟住做啦。我喺度做咗起碼3、4年。你即係初頭落嚟咧唔係好適應嘅，因為完全乜都唔識，即係譬如啲魚嘅種類好多啊嘛，咁你根本上你係唔識嘅，一路跟住一路問佢哋呢啲咩嚟啊咁樣。之前我有出邊打工嘅，不過即係見屋企人都年紀大，佢哋未必做咁多嘢，即係幫到手就幫。你話接手就未必接，即係幫手做咯。因為都要啲時間嘅，因為大家唔知。
咁你有冇諗過之後會點樣？
睇下老細會唔會話將間公司轉咗手，轉咗第二種形式租俾人做嗰啲咯。因為呢度啲地方都幾值錢㗎。喺將來嘅情況係點？因為你話始終好似話啲海鮮，即係越嚟越少啊嘛，所謂。
係啊。
咁你都唔知佢將來會係點樣嘅情況㗎嘛？冇得估計，即係睇情況做事咯。
Similar fate is faced by the boat people working in the tourism field. 姐姐今日生意如何啊？
普通啦，假期呢啲叫淡㗎啦，嗰假期。
淡啊！哦。
依家咧好少遊客，比10幾年前啊少好多啊，好多個碼頭。就我哋專業咧，就我哋嗰啲比較專業啲咯。因為我哋由細都係揾呢行飯食啊嘛。我阿婆嗰代做我哋3代都係做呢個。係啊，呢啲又係翻。Sit down, please. Yeah. That's right. Sit down. 我哋呢度帶人做相，做咗幾十年啦。由細到大都係做呢樣。
會唔會係以前嗰幾輩會唔會捉魚㗎？
我哋呢一輩唔係捉魚嘅，我哋有分捉魚還捉魚。我哋做相交帶人咁樣遊咧，
你哋都係住喺水上。
係啊，我哋都係水上，唔係水上人就唔會做呢啲嘅。而家我哋啲仔女都唔做，我哋跟我哋呢一輩。如果你話有冇人繼承咧，繼承啦，但係你問我想唔想我啲兒女繼承，我就唔想啊，因為始終我哋呢行係點講啊？我哋以前冇書讀啊，冇錢去讀書啊，先今晚唔做呢啲，都係一個文化，唔係話唔好。但係至於揾錢嗰方面就你話好又唔講得，你話係咪唔好咧又唔講得，總唔知就戇好咯。但係比岸上佢哋如果讀到書嘅揾到錢嘅，梗係岸上好啦。我哋見到外國人講英文，見到日本人講日文，點樣識咧？就要靠自己去聽去講，聽得多明啦，咁我哋就講好多幾句，咁樣你就可以溝通。以前咧冇呢啲 engine 時期，用搖㗎，50年、60年代嗰陣時係用搖㗎撐船㗎咋，就唔係呢啲 engine 嘅。到後期都係而家我哋呢條船都係35年前啦。而家呢啲後生，而家我哋呢一輩最後啦，所以你而家坐呢啲船咧，遲啲會俾人呢啲就算。
哋而家仲係咪喺度瞓㗎？
可以喺度瞓，呢樣船可以做，但係我哋可以喺度做，但係而家咧我哋政府有廉租屋，因為有一次我有好多船咧，政府俾咗廉租屋我哋咧，咁我哋就可以上廉租。但係咧好多時就點解啲老人家唔中意咧？就係太細個廉租，廉租太細。譬如我一個人我住呢度，係咪空間好大？你喺上網咧，即係覺得嗰個譬如我哋以前住嗰啲廉租屋啊，你睇嗰邊寫而家冇㗎啦，係啊，所以你呢啲相你都好難揾到。
你睇下歷史啊，成記地嗰啲
而家我哋就做嗰啲咯，呢一行咧揾嘅錢咧，即係可以啱啱。你諗我一個月除咗隻船落油落成，我都係得3000零蚊嘅。咁你諗我真正做嘢知唔知3000幾？你未計 engine 壞咗喎，如果嗰啲機器壞咗，你好多錢過我哋，係咪？所以冇人做呢，再做呢啲就係咁樣咯。如果係有嘅，我哋係好穩定嘅，我哋一定會報稅啦。但係呢啲我哋就報唔到稅，我都想報稅啊，因為報稅起碼我都揾到錢啦。但係我哋報唔到稅就咩原因咧？今日有生意，聽日冇，或者我有病我就唔開工，唔開工就係冇錢㗎。咁你根本呢一行你永遠都報唔到稅，做漁民呢一行永遠都冇得報稅。今日望住個天嚟做，落雨你又冇，大風你又冇，係嘛？就好似而家咧外國啲機咧咁樣啦，立亂啦，咁你啲遊客嚟唔到我哋又冇，係嘛？即係你好多原因好多因素影響嘅，所以咧我哋由細做到大，只係話可以啦，即係養到我哋自己啦，但你唔好苛求咯，即係你要好滿足咁，都好似現時你哋我哋啲仔女嗰一代咧，就滿足唔到佢哋。就算而家我哋再而家咁樣做，如果我哋你諗下一個月都買唔起一部 iPhone，俾我行翻轉頭，我唔會做。我寧願真係讀到書上網，做一份工，7000就7000，8000就8000，起碼我有個安定嘅生活啦。呢啲冇㗎，今日好嘅我就有條魚食下啦，聽日冇嘅就冇。而家啲漁船都係㗎，大部分揾唔到食，所以咁多後生唔出海落去。你而家見呢個漁港咧都少咗好多，因為真係真正係揾唔到食，所以冇㗎。而家呢，我哋呢個水上人同埋呢個漁民已經係叫做咩啊？最後一個。
There is no mercy for both people in Aberdeen facing the tragic destiny, as other traditional careers in Hong Kong, being desperate for successors. Is Aberdeen facing her sunset years? Will the harbour eventually lose her vitality after the present boat people leaving their positions? This seems to be the result of natural selection in this fast developing society. In what ways could the boat people survive in the future? In 2011, the Legislative Council passed through the revenue for re-stimulating tourism in Aberdeen, restoring its traditional essence of a fishing village. The revitalizing works kicked off in September of the same year. Different stages of the works are predicted to be finished during 2012 and 2014.